Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. That's what I was thinking too.
It is. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
All right. Hopefully we don't have any technical difficulties today. We're working on that, ongoing improvements with the building. But nevertheless, I want to say good evening, honorable members of council, chief of staff Tanny Washington, the chief of staff Walker, department heads, and members of the public. This evening, we have 3 budget hearings scheduled. We have the city auditor's department first, followed by human resources department, and then finally closing with law department. First, I would like to start by recognizing members of the finance committee who are in attendance today by doing a roll call. Start off with vice chair from the 4th district, Harley.
Present.
Councilwoman Oliver from the 3rd district. Councilwoman Oliver. All right, go back to her. Councilman Fields from the 3rd district. 8th district.
Present.
All right. And at-large council members Spadola.
Present.
At-large council member Walsh.
Here.
And council president Congo. And just trying again, council member Oliver. Also like to recognize other council members in attendance this evening by doing roll call. 1st district council member Gray.
Present.
2nd district council member Darby.
Present.
5th district council member Fields.
Here.
6th district council member McCoy.
Here.
At large council member Cabrera. And at large council member Dixon. And again, as normally protocol of council members, as they flow in, please message either me or Ms. Marshall Fast Night so you can be recognized. And I also would like to recognize in attendance, we have OMB Director Robert Greco. We have Daniel Owens from OMB. And with us, we have from the City Auditor's Office, Mr. Terrence Williams and Ms. Tamara Thompson, Audit Manager. And of course, with me live is Ms. Marshall Bassnight, Strategy Director for City Council, as well as other panelists and members of the public who are here with us as well. Mayor Pursuant presented a proposed budget to council on March 18th, which shared a vision for the intended use of the proposed budgetary funds. Now it is council's time and responsibility to review the budget, have budget hearings, and have various conversations about a complete plan on the intended use of the city's budgetary funds. By charter, council must adopt a balanced budget, and it should be the duty of council.
So it sounds like that's the 4 pieces.
It must be the duty of council to do so at least 30 days before the end of the fiscal year, which is June 30th. Council has shared its priorities with the mayor, which are inclusive of public safety, neighborhood stabilization, improving education in the city, and improving parks and rec, just to name a few. COVID-19 pandemic has impacted the world immensely over the past year. Nonetheless, council is fortunate and we're anticipating receiving approximately $55 million of American Rescue Funds, which we look forward to collaborating with the administration on a plan of action for those funds to better serve the community. I just want to be clear for all those who are watching, American Rescue Funds are not factored in as part of this budget because the permissible use of the American Rescue Funds is not known at this time. Before I turn over to Mr. Owens for a budget overview summary of City Auditor's Department, I'd like to first acknowledge, I believe we have Council President Congo on the line and Council Member Cabrera is here as well. And I would like to inform the public that, as usual, public comments will be at the end of each department's budget hearings. And we look forward to participation from the public. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes. And if there are any follow-up questions that we cannot have answered tonight, please share the information with us. From Ms. Marshall Bassnight from City Council will track and follow up on these comments. I ask that my colleagues have any questions. Please, as always, use the raise hand feature and we will acknowledge you. And Mr. Owens, I will now turn it over to you for the financial overview, the City Auditor's Department, fiscal year 22 budget, followed by then a brief opening statement by Director Williams, then a question and answer with council.
Great, and thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman Johnson, President Congo, and other honorable members of City Council. Thank you for inviting me to present the Audit Department's fiscal year 2022 proposed budget request on behalf of the Office of Management and Budget. You have the next slide, please. Perfect. Funding for the Audit Department is derived from both the General Fund as well as the Water Sewer Fund. The General Fund request is $849,000. It represents a $10,000 or a 1.2% decrease from FY 2021. Do the next slide, please. The Water Sewer Fund, which only consists of accounting and indirect costs, is budgeted at about $84,000. This is a $13,000 or a 14% decrease from FY 2021. And then the next slide one more time. All personal services for the department are budgeted within the general fund. And the total personal services budget increased about $16,000 or 2.5%. Regular salaries increased just over $12,000 or 3.0%. Mandatory step increases coupled with a 2% cost of living adjustment for all NUC bargaining unit employees was the cause of this increase. Regarding benefits, pension contributions to the city plan increased $5,400, while hospitalization decreased over $3,000. Total MS&E is budgeted at nearly $201,000 in the general fund. This is a $26,000 or an 11.5% decrease. This decrease is almost solely due to a decrease in accounting costs, which are budgeted at $152,000, a $26,000 decrease from FY 2021. This budget request will be used to fund the city's external audit, as well as to assist the city's finance department with journal entries regarding the city's annual report. An associated decrease of $12,000 was prorated to the accounting costs in the water sewer fund. Indirect costs also decreased in the water sewer fund in FY 2022 due to the new allocation model provided by Black & Veatch. They are down $1,300 or nearly 10% from FY 2021. This concludes my presentation of the FY 2022 proposed budget request for the Audit Department. I can answer any questions you may have at this time, and thank you.
Okay, I believe Council Member Oliver, you have a question about OMB, or are you just looking to be recognized?
Just looking to be recognized. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Very good. At this time, if there's no questions for OMB, I will then turn the floor over to Director Terrence Williams. The floor is yours now, Director Williams, and if you want to give a brief opening statement before we start the questions.
Okay. Good afternoon, and thank you, Mr. Chair, President Congo, and honorable members of City Council. It's an honor and a pleasure to be working for the Honorable Mayor, City Council, and the citizens of the great city of Wilmington, Delaware.
All right. Well, thank you, Director Williams. Is there Did you have more, or is that it?
No, that's fine.
Okay, no. If you have more, I'm not trying to abbreviate you. I just wanted to, if you just want to cut to the chase, that's fine. If there's other folks who are watching, I believe you have the department's vision, but I guess you'll weave that into the question and answer, right?
That's fine.
Okay, all right.
As far as the department's vision, we intend to maintain an efficient approach to the overall audit process. We would like to be able to provide an independent and objective perspective to an accountable government. We'd also like to provide efficient and effective audits and look for ways to help improve controls and processes at the city. Next page, please. The three top priorities for my department are to conduct quality audits, provide timely and consistent audit follow-ups with management, and to promote awareness of the fraud hotline. Next page, please. The top three performance measures for my department are completed audits, reporting the status of management plans, which consists of whether they're implemented, whether the action plans are open, past due with action taken, or past due with no action taken. And also fraud calls investigated. Considering the COVID-19 pandemic, discuss the budgetary lines that were directly impacted, which resulted in reimbursement. We did not have any budgetary account lines that were directly impacted, which resulted in reimbursement for the CARES Act.
Well, I just want to just take a second, Director Williams. I'm looking at this the printout, and I have there is a budget hit, or there was a COVID-19 reimbursement. Do we have different records? I have like
it's in the last sentence. In the last sentence for the slide. In this paragraph, it actually was $3,135 for our department, but it wasn't a budget line for my department. It was actually for HR.
Okay, but it was tagged audit department. Is that why? Is there a reason why?
Correct, because our department did utilize work from home and COVID-related leave administered by Human Resources. And so the amount that was reimbursed to the city for my department was $3,135.
Okay. I'm looking forward to fiscal year 22. Do you expect any payroll hits due to COVID?
They would most likely be the same payroll budgetary account lines. Could possibly be impacted.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilmember Oliver, do you have a question, or is it up from earlier?
Yeah, no, I just, when you mentioned about the COVID, I just want to follow up and tell Mr. Williams that based on my observation of his budget, it looks like he's decreased a lot in his department. So I give you kudos for being one of the departments who have taken the time to decrease because of COVID. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Director Williams, thank you very much for covering that. If you're ready at this time, move on to question 2. This is the same thing Oh, okay, sorry. I'm actually skipped ahead 1 point. Sorry about that. So actually, could you specify, I think this is germane to your department, about the actual plan to audit CARES funds to ensure that there's no unaccounted lines for the whole entire city?
At this time, all CARES funds have been expended and will be audited as part of the City of Wilmington single audit.
Okay, so is that the year? That's the annual city audit.
Correct. The annual report that's actually performed by Belfin, Lyons, and Schumann. We actually have them hired to do the annual report, which also includes a single audit. and CARES funds would be included in that.
Okay, gotcha. All right, now moving on to question 2, just following up on the American Rescue Plans. Same question we're asking every department. At this time, I know things are in flux right now with those funds, but does your department have any updated info from the Treasury Department at this date currently? And if so, do you have any tentative plans?
Currently, we do not, and I don't anticipate us using the American Rescue Funds for our departmental budget.
Okay, now, as a kind of a aside to that, what's your plan to audit the American Rescue Funds? Is that going to be part of the Belfont Lions single audit, or will you have a breakout?
Yes, that will also be included in the single audit. Although this, for the next audit, being as though the funds haven't been dispersed yet, I don't really foresee them being able to audit anything probably until the following year, but that's to be determined. Where with the CARES funds, they were expended last year, and so they should be included in this year's annual report.
And do we have an update from we've already had the Treasurer Department hearing. We have an update when our money will actually, the first bit of money will hit. I was under the understanding it was going to hit, I guess, sometime in April. Do we know when that's going to come?
Chairman, I've been told we're going to receive it sometime in May, but we haven't been given a date specific on that.
Okay.
And just a small point of clarification on the CARES funds and the audit related to that. Those funds were funds given to Newcastle County. And so as a part of their disbursement to us, their auditors did look at how we expended those funds. So their auditors reviewed the expenditure of our grant.
Okay. Can we have a copy of that report, Chief of Staff Washington? I don't believe I haven't seen it.
It's not. I'm sorry. It's not a report of the city. The auditors from Newcastle County contacted us. You understand?
Okay. Now, has Newcastle County issued an auditor's report yet?
Not that I'm aware of. They're probably still going through the process.
Okay. Well, when it is available, I would like, obviously, to just take a look at it, since it relates to the city's funds, so that could be provided when the county has it available. That would definitely be a big help, I think.
Okay.
Actually, if
Mr. Chair, I have
Councilmember Gray, I see your hand. I just want to clear up some questions about the audit. Actually, Ms. Marshall Bass Knight has a quick comment.
Yeah, just a clarifying question too. Is from the auditing perspective, the purpose of the question also was to, like, could there have been any other unforeseeable expenditures that wasn't factored in the audit? We don't want to leave anything unaccounted for on the table. So I wasn't for sure if that was going to be part of the county's audit, or was that going to be part of the audit done by our outside auditor?
Okay.
The county is a pass-through agency for us for the federal funds, so that will be included in the single audit as well.
Thanks.
All right, thank you very much, Director. And now I would like to turn it to a few of my colleagues have questions. Councilmember Gray.
thank you, but my hand's been up since the first slide. I think Mr. Williams said that all the CARES money had been expended now, but I think in the Parks and Rec budget hearing, they still have CARES money to be distributed. So I wanted clarification on that. And the other thing about the auditor, Chief of Staff answered that question about the county doing the auditing. And I do have the first sheet, I think, of that audit. But I thought that the city was going to hire a consultant auditor to help with the Rescue Act auditing, starting in the new fiscal year of 2022, correct? So there's two questions.
That was a financial advisor.
Oh, and they will not be auditing also our use of the.
They will help with the compliance, but that was a financial advisor to look at the, to take a fiscal outlook of the city in the long term to give us some advice on how to best utilize the funds.
Okay, thank you. And I will say, since I'm intergovernmental, I know that the county hired an outside auditor to go over the CARES Act money spent by the county and the pass-through money spent by the city. But also, do we still have CARES money to be distributed? I thought that came up in parks. There's still some available. Thank you.
Yeah. Not to my knowledge. I'm not sure exactly what they're speaking of. All the money that we've discussed thus far was the reimbursable funds from the county. So I'm not sure exactly what.
And Chief of Staff Washington just says, from my recollection, I believe, was it Real Estate and Housing has some CD?
Yeah, they have CDBG money. That's correct.
Okay. So that is correct. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the only department you're aware of that still has funds.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Go on.
All right. All right. If there's nothing else, I don't see any more hands. If you have a question on this, please let me know, or we can follow up later. I want to then move on to question number 3. Auditor, this question is about the city's recent decline in wage and net profit revenues due to COVID-19. Auditor Williams, can you discuss your planned audit protocols to ensure that the proper methodologies were utilized pertaining to employees working remotely to best determine wage taxes withheld? And this would be pursuant to city code and finance guidelines.
Okay. As City Council is aware, the auditing department, we're currently doing the annual risk assessment, and we anticipate that the city's recent decline in wage and net profit revenues will probably be heavily weighted in our risk assessment results. Therefore, it is our plan to work with the finance department to review its wage tax and net profit processes as needed, but it's going to be based on the annual risk assessment, which has not been completed yet.
Okay. The annual risk assessment, do we have a timeline when you expect that to be completed?
For the Q4 Audit Review Committee meeting, we'll be presenting it at that time.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Director Williams, there's no questions on 3. Let's move to question 4. Can you discuss the planned number of audits for fiscal year 22 and the number of planned audits versus completed audits for fiscal year 20 and 21? And can you specify the mechanisms for determining what needs to be audited internally versus externally?
Okay. For FY22, as I just mentioned, we're still in the process of analyzing the results for the city's annual risk assessment. We'll be formulating the audit plan based off of those results. For FY21, we plan to conduct 16 audits. We have completed 8 audits to date, and we have 4 audits that are currently a work in progress. For FY20, we planned 14 audits and completed 11.
Okay.
That'll be carried over. For FY22, I estimate that we will probably have 1 or 2 audits that'll be carried over, but it's really not in stone yet, but it's probably going to be at a minimum 1 or 2. As far as the trigger mechanism that determines our audits, whether they're externally or done in-house, the nature of the audit has a lot to do with it. The required level of expertise for the audit, and also the availability of financial and staffing resources, all considered in determining whether it's necessary to outsource an audit. And for C, we do not Proceed, we do not have any funds specifically allocated in the FY22 budget for unplanned audits.
All right, thank you, Director Williams. Moving on to question number 5. Can you discuss the budgetary funds allocated for the city's fraud hotline? Can you describe the program, what it is, and how many, you can actually discuss the return on investment, how many audits came as a result of the fraud hotline? And then just generally can give an overview of the calls covered over the past 3 years.
Okay. As far as the program and how it's marketed, my department, we use the city's website for the fraud hotline. We have signs and pamphlets that are posted throughout the city, and limited advertising during the year that's promoted on WITN regarding the fraud hotline. As far as for B, there have been potential fraud cases brought to our attention during the last 3 years, and they were all followed up by our department and forwarded to the appropriate parties as deemed necessary. However, there were no substantiated cases during this period. And over the last 3 years, we've had, in FY19, we had 15 cases. In FY20, we had 4. And in FY21, there were also 4.
Thank you very much, Director. Moving on to question number 6. Can you discuss the planned use of approximately $246,000 budgeted in professional fees?
Next page, please. Okay, we have $189,000 budgeted to cover the cost of the external audit. $35,000 is being budgeted for the annual financial report assistance for the finance department, and $22,000 is being budgeted for temporary agencies. This is for the cost to cover the part-time office assistant throughout the fiscal year. And for the last question, my office works with the procurement department to follow the city's request for proposals. And that includes notification of DBE firms.
Okay. Speaking about DBEs, is I understand that Belfit Line has been a partner for years. Do you know, are they a qualified DBE?
That I'm not 100% certain about, although I know they are making changes at their firm as far as like having an internship, catering to our community. They also have other African Americans who work for that firm as well. And when we just went through the whole proposal process, all the firms that sent in the request, they all provided information surrounding the DBE process because that was one of the requirements.
Okay, I mean, because any council member can peruse the website. I'm familiar with the firm. I'm not aware currently of any African Americans being there, and this is a majority African American city. So, I guess the question is, how I understand it's been a contractor, but what's your effort to kind of work on getting them to buy into this diversity effort? And I know it's a bigger conversation, but we've had this conversation in Finance Committee before, and I don't really see any changes with Belfit Lions.
I know in Belfit Lions' proposal, they provided a list of things that they plan on doing to help improve their standing in that area. I don't have it at my fingertips, but I know that was something that was shared with the Audit Review Committee when we did present the proposals.
Okay, because I would like to see a comprehensive plan similar to a lot of these finance firms to know about what they're doing, especially working with historically Black colleges, the finance department, and the students of color. Because it sounds like a broken record, and I know you know this, Auditor Williams, but we don't see the faces change in a lot of these businesses. So I would like to at least see what their plans are to make these changes. And that's what we've made this demand of every department. We really want to see a changing face in terms of who the city contractors are.
Okay, I think it's a valid concern, and it's something that I definitely will continue to talk with our external auditors about, to encourage them to do more. And I know sometimes when firms are doing things, they're not trying to put it out there and pat themselves on the back, but I definitely make sure that it's something that's definitely top priority.
Thank you very much, Director. There's no questions on 6. I believe we can then turn to question number 7. Can you discuss the, and these are just the contract amounts, right? For the auditing. Okay. Now let's discuss the approximately $25,000 budget for membership in registration grouping.
Okay. We have subscriptions and books totaling $7,760 for auditing, accounting books for our department library. The registration fees for $10,000 represents our training courses, conferences, and required continuing professional education, CPEs. We have workshops and seminar training during the year. We call it Audit Week, where we have team building and soft skills, strengthening and learning opportunities. We also have memberships, various memberships totaling $3,620. The AGA, it's the Association of Government Accountants. The AICPA, that's the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. ALGA is the Association of Local Government Auditors. AuditNet, it's a website that we use. ISACA, that's the Information Systems Audit and Control Association. The IIA, that's the Institute of Internal Auditors. The ACFE, that's the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners. And the DSCPA is the Delaware Society of Certified Public Accountants. And combined, we're looking at our membership fees, roughly $25,000.
Thank you very much, Director, for the coverage. And now moving on to question number 8. You discussed the city's risk assessment plan process. I know we touched on it a little bit ago, maybe about 20 or so minutes ago, but I just wanted to kind of delve into that a little bit more. Can you discuss that plan?
Yes, our risk assessment is really what drives our audit plan, and it consists of a survey that's sent out and completed by senior management and members of council, city council. The surveys are analyzed and the results are measured based on the weighted average. The areas with the largest weighted average are considered for the audit plan for the upcoming fiscal year. As far as the next question, we're still, as I mentioned before, we're still in the process of analyzing the results, and we'll be formulating an audit plan for the Q4 Audit Review Committee meeting.
All right. Thank you. Now I'd just like to turn it to the organizational chart.
Okay.
Explain there.
Yes. So we have 5 full-time employees, myself, my audit manager, Tamara Thompson. We have our office assistant, that she's a temporary person, Rebecca Cruz. I have 3 senior auditors, Michael Maldonado, Nicole Sammons Johnson, and Madonna Woodson.
Okay, thank you for that overview. Now at this time, I'd like to see if there are any questions from members of council. All right. And if none, at this time, I'd like to turn it to members of the public. Any members of the public, now's the time for public comment. All right. Hearing none, I'd like to then turn it back to council again for one last call. If there's any questions for Auditor Williams. All right. So with that, I think we've come to the conclusion of the Auditor's Department Budget Hearings. I will say, thank you for comprehensive coverage. As we know, your department is very important, especially as we get these American Rescue Funds in, and we try to get our city back up and running. So I appreciate it. As a side item, I do want to follow up on the thing with the city's auditor, the diversity issue. We've talked about this before. I will later this year. I would like them to present at Finance Committee what their comprehensive plan is, because I think last contract they said they were working on a plan, and I have not seen it yet. So that's one thing I would like to see. But otherwise, I think everything else is covered. So with that, I appreciate your time, Auditor Williams. And do you have a brief closing statement right now?
Chair Johnson, I really would like to thank you, President Congo, and the city council members for allowing me again to come and present my budget for the department. It's been a great experience working here at the city, working with the Honorable Mayor Przicki and his administration, and we try to do our best job to keep the city honest and to improve our processes throughout the various functional areas in the city. And we know that, it's one of those things where it's going to be a continuous process. It's something that we're always going to be working on to improve. And I think overall we're heading in the right direction. I just would like to say it's definitely an honor representing the city, working with you all, and I really appreciate it. And I'd like to thank my team as well, because without my team, there wouldn't be me. And once again, Tamara Thompson, I can't thank her enough for everything that she does, as well as Michael Maldonado. I mess his name up a lot, so I finally got it right, so I feel good about that. Nicole Sammons Johnson, and also Madonna Woodson, and with Rebecca Cruz. She's part-time, but she helps us tremendously as well. And I just would like to thank you all once again.
Thank you very much, Auditor Williams. Again, we appreciate your time, and we'll make sure that if we have any follow-up questions, we'll contact your department directly as we move forward. So thank you very much for your time. And for those in attendance, next up we have Human Resources. We are running on time tonight, so Human Resources is scheduled to start in approximately 4 minutes. So take a stretch, get a little break, and we'll see you in a few minutes with Human Resources. Thank you.
Thank you.